In the midst of the chemo, my dad and I went fly fishing in Colorado. A huge forest fire had burned through the entire area around the stream we were fishing on. I was completely bald and breastless at the time, making my way through the burnt remains of a massive forest that used to be vibrant with an abundance of life and beauty. My dad was taking his time observing the effect that the fire had on everything it touched. He suddenly called out to me, "Lauren, hurry! You have to see this!" I rushed back on the path, stumbling on some burnt remains of a tree to find my dad crouched down over a tiny, brilliant purple flower that had made its way through several layers of thick black ash. It was one of the most beautiful flowers I had ever seen, and it was the only one we could find in the entire area. The fact that it was against the black ash made its blissful form and color all the more rapturous. My dad and I hovered together over this little flower that had bloomed in the midst of the darkness that surrounded it in silence, taking in what words could never capture at that moment. The next words spoken by my dad will remain in my heart forever. He reached over and put his hand on my bald head. Looking deep into my eyes with so much love flowing out of his gaze, he said, "Lauren, this is you." He gently cupped the little flower. "You are just like this little flower, who had enough wisdom and strength to know that if it kept growing through these black ashes, surrendering and trusting in its God-given strength, it would bloom magnificently right where it was planted, in spite of what surrounded it. No matter how huge the fire seems to be at the time, abundant life, beauty, restoration, and growth will always follow close behind, and more abundantly than had the fire never occurred. Truly the ultimate pruning experience. No storm lasts forever." Breathe in through your nose and release. I invite you over the next 24 hours to resurrect to the front lines those strengths that perhaps are covered with the ashes of the challenge that you're going through. Tune into the strengths that you know you've used before in your life to get through difficult moments. Write those strengths out on a piece of paper so that you can have them as a touchstone when the ashes seem to be piling up on top of you. Make it a practice to bloom where you are planted, to focus on what is working out for you versus what's not, to resurrect your strengths in the midst of the challenge.